So the things that I want to get onto now is Bryson, Phil, Zach Johnson. These are some of the big talking points.
Yes.
So Josh, hit us off.
So Bryson DeChambeau has come back and said that he's going to return this week at the Arnold Palmer Invitational. So obviously he's defending champ, for starters. If you don't remember this last year, I went on about it for weeks in biffing it over the water. I went on about it and on about it and on about it because it was impressive.
I think you asked him out on a date. You were like, I loved him that much.
It was unreal.
Full-blown man crush.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I had a period where I was
it got a little bit embarrassing.
Biff it long, lad. Keep it long.
It got a bit embarrassing, if I'm honest with you.
But
I had to tone it down throughout the podcast.
A little bit.
He was showing mashed potato on the telly.
Oh. It's made us on the podcast out of the blue, like Tourette's.
We suppose his missus turned and goes, no, you're having parsnips, love, not mashed potatoes, parsnips.
Mashed potato.
But my concern is for Bryson.
Yeah, I know what you're going to say.
Is obviously he came out and said the injury was nothing to do with it in it long or speed or anything like that. But we've said this from the start. There has to be a point where his body cannot deal with the pressure that he's putting on it.
I agree. But then I'm going to hit you with devil's advocate here. Okay, you look at Luke Donald. You look at Alex Noren. These guys aren't the biggest guys in the world, but they've both had wrist injuries. They both had injuries. I think is it
Luke Donald's wrist injury came from a US Open. Now, that was a US Open that was over 10 years ago, and it's the same injury that just keeps coming back. He jarred his wrist from that actual particular injury. So he's not been doing over performance or anything like that. It was just a case of his wrist got snagged up in that ridiculous Bundu rough, that snags everything all up, and he jarred his wrist for that one. So for that one, we watched. Then we lose. Put one for the comparable, but if you look in terms of with the fitness stuff, I get you with the counter argument totally, and I do see your point with it. But at what point could Bryson break? Look how Tiger broke.
Yeah,
exactly.
I agree with you. I think that is all down to how much he's been playing, how fast he's been hitting it, and this is how I see him playing. I see him being a player that will play the minimum amount of events for his money to count on the PGA Tour, and to play in the majors. That is how I see him sort of his career sort of going now.
Yeah.
I reckon he's going to play a little bit like Tiger towards the end of his career. Or I know hopefully he's making a comeback, but let's say sort of mid-pomp where he only sort of played 16 tournaments a year. That is exactly how I see Bryson going, because I don't think if he can't physically practice, play, maintain, and be able to perform at that level and play a schedule of 26 tournaments a year.
No, because you see these videos of him in whoever's house it is, like
I think it's
with
Cal
the net
Barks.
up, just swinging out of his shoes for hours on end.
Yeah.
That can't be good for you.
No.
We use the analogy of cricket and knees and Jimmy Anderson and all that. It's the same thing.
It's an RSI. It's repetitive strain injury almost.
Yeah.
I'm not musculoskeletal trained or anything like that. I've had enough injuries musculoskeletally wise to probably say something, because I'm just a walking bloody corpse that still happens to be breathing. But something's got to break at some point with him. Without a shadow of doubt, something's got to break with him. But the interesting thing is when he won the US Open, and he was like, he was just a horse, weren't he? He was just huge and humongous.
Yeah.
At the end of that season, going into the following season, he trimmed down. He went, I think himself, he'd overbulked. And you look at from when he was probably the season and a half beforehand, where he was just a skinny, toned lad, and then bulked up massively, and then he's gone back to being slightly more leaner than what he was at that big mass.
Yeah.
But he's still grinding it. And but he performed well at the Long Drive Championships, didn't he? He performed amazingly well at that. So it's a dual purpose for him at the moment. But you look at it that way, and you look at, all right, so we've got our lad over here. We've got a couple of good lads over here that were Long Drive champions, but that physique at all times, and the pro golfers in their own right, but they don't play in that environment.
No.
You know, they don't go around with the card in the round like that. They're just primarily focusing on that and going, can I get a diamond card from Nando's? You know,
I mean, I wouldn't mind a diamond card from Nando's. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, let's go for cheeky Nando's every day, or basically a full chicken farm. He's got, like I said, his body's going to have to break, but it's all down to how that individual's made up. You know, I know for a fact of before I became an overweight fat barrel of proverbial, that I was lean and trimmed and everything like that, and I had a little wee triangle body through doing my Royal Mail stuff, being a postman. I was quite strong for being like 3'2", you know, all things considered. But it was, you know, I knew what my breaking points were because I knew I would never be able to bulk up and train to that size because my physical body could take that. Bryson's 6'5", 6'6".
Oh, he's a big lad, isn't he?
So frame is probably better. His frame's probably better to take that sort of punishment than what the likes of like Alex and I are probably at the same height. You know, we share the same toadstool.
Don't give him ammunition here. Don't give him ammunition here. Okay, so here's a question. I've got for both of you here. Here's a question. How long has he got left playing? At what age do you think he's going to have to knock it on the head and go, you know what? I'm either going to have to stop playing tournament golf or I'm going to have to stop doing long drive.
Well, I'd love him to have a long career. I'm just going to pull up how old he actually is now because I don't actually know.
I think he's 26.
He's not. He's not
26. I reckon.
He's not
mid-20s. Yeah.
Go on, Rob. Hit us with.
He's a pesky kid. I reckon he's probably got
28.
My age.
28. Right. I think he'll quit before he's 45.
45. What do you reckon?
See, I thought you were going to say shorter than that. I say if he gets another 10 years swinging it like that.
Then what do you think?
38. 10 years swinging it like that, though. He might then slow down and play a bit longer.
I think, being the crazy mad scientist that he is, right, I think he'll have a sudden epiphany.
Yeah.
And he'll come up with something else where he wouldn't necessarily need to go down that road or down that line. We have to keep training as hard as he's going to have to do and stuff like that. I think that time's
steroids it is
kind of bought.
Don't throw that in the mix. Jeez.
There's a little cup. Crack on. Cast the Semenya's brother. You know, I think there'll be a time when something will twig with him, and he'll go, yeah, I don't need to do this all the time. But as you said there, the money's not in the long drive. So for him, it's just that's pocket change.
Yeah.
But for him to be world long drive champion and a major winner in the same season, or be a leading winner on the PGA Tour, leading money winner on the PGA Tour or the Tour Championship, $10 squillion million, whatever it's going to be. Now that would be an interesting one to take forward, right, and have a really good crown, wouldn't it? You know, so there's other goals for him to do within that. But the question is then, do you think he'll win another major? And if so, which one?
Yeah, yes. I think he's my pick for the Masters this year, isn't he?
I don't know if you had Masters. We did picks 3 weeks ago. We have got him written down, but this pad is very full, so I'm not going to go back to it take me forever. But you did pick him for one.
He's my I know he did. He's my. I think he wins the Masters this year.
I'd love him to win the Masters.
I'm saying it.
See, I don't see winning Augusta.
Why?
I just don't. I think it's a course that doesn't. You could say it would play into his hands because he can short it down significantly, but that's not his game. Does he want to be hitting driving iron off tees and drawing it round corners, or is he going to want to try and bomb it? He can't overpower the course because he can't necessarily go over all the trees and all the stuff. Like when he did it, what's the name, at the US Open, where he could go over trees and stuff like that and cut corners off. Augusta, he really can't, or he can't. I don't think he can. I don't think many golfers probably will be able to. I think if anything, he's got either another US Open in him, or he's got definitely US PGA. I think a PGA will be his next major he win, but I don't think he'll ever win the Open.
See, this is the thing though. I wouldn't be surprised if he gave the Open a good crack this year because St Andrews isn't that long and doesn't really punish you.
I think that depends
on weather,
on the conditions.
Correct.
Yeah,
conditions and missing the bunkers.
Yeah. Like I honestly think he'll win. He'll He'll do the career Grand Slam before you can.
I would love him to, because I think he is good for the game. I really do, because I think his attitude
I'm
towards...
split on him. I'm good for the game.
Well, no, I think he is, because his attitude towards everything is different to everyone else's. So the way he puts, the way he chips, the way he swings the club, the way he drives the ball is completely different.
Or is he just bending the rules as maximum with the putting?
It's
the science of it.
His methodology. His methodology for playing the game is like nothing we've ever seen.
Yeah. No.
It's so bespoke. I in a Mr. T kind of way, I pity the fool who jumps on his bag.
Yeah, you are the hardest working caddy out there, if you are.
Without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, you're going to earn your greenbacks for being his caddy. Very much like, in terms of for doing the work that you'd have to do for him, you'd earn your money, like you would do the money that you'd earn for being on Bubba's bag and take an abuse off Bubba, because everything else you ever is, which is the same for many pros, but more so when it comes to Bubba. So for Watson, with Bryson's Bryson's side of things, I think he's brought a different element to the game, and that really intrigues me in terms of what he's done with it. The one length iron scenario, I think, that's a good thing. He's proven it can be done. So that's a cool little thing in itself as well. But yeah, I don't know. Like St Andrews will always pull up an interesting winner. Who'd ever thought that Louis Oosthuizen would have won it?
Yeah.
Right. The biggest surprise of the lot, right, and it's the one that nobody ever thought he was going to do it. John Daly in '95.
That's what I'm saying. I reckon. Honestly, I think he'll be at career Grand Slam, because John Daly was the Bryson DeChambeau of sort of 15, 20 years ago, really.
Yeah,
working out.
Minus the working out, minus the cigarette, add the cigarettes in a Diet Coke.
Daly was the first player to ever average over 300 yards in a tournament season on the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
Impressive, that.
Oh,
you know what I mean? And that does it all. But he, especially at that time as well, that time averaging over 300 yards with that equipment back in the late 90s was mega impressive. But the thing else with that one, with Daly winning that major, winning the Open, was he mainly drove off with a Wilson zero iron. He got the Wilson Invex driver off Wilson that particular period, but he hardly used it. He hardly used it in that because he puts it all over the world, doesn't he? But he was mainly going off with the zero irons. But his short game was just phenomenal. In fact, his all-round game that week, he was just so controlled. So it can always bring up a surprising winner.
Yeah.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Okay, on to a major champion, multiple major champion, and a person who's definitely going to be taking the back seat at least for the next year.
Oh, very controversial person at the moment.
Do you know what I'm going to say before we go into this? Phil Mickelson, we're going to be talking about. But equally, I don't know how Greg Norman's got away with almost just a little bit of skepticism on this. He's the bloody chairman of the thing, and he's a bloody golfing great.
Yeah, but it's the way that the things that Phil said.
Yeah, I agree.
In it, I agree. I'm going to be completely honest. I didn't realise the things that he said in this book or whatever it's article that's been brought out. I didn't realise how bad it was.
It's a bit like Partygate, innit?
It was almost, it was almost like...
It's been interesting.
Yeah.
I've got some... I'll let you guys talk about it. I've got some.
We want to hear your perspective, Rob. Crack on.
Right. So, Phil, all right. I don't care too much for Phil Mickelson anyway. Not that he's not I just... He's a bit overly cheesy for me, but what's come out with this one, and I'm going on the Greg Norman thing as well in a bit. All right, he said some things, and he said he was trying to make the PGA Tour CEOs more malleable to put more money into the tour. They earn millions and millions and millions a year. You know what I mean? It's obscene. We speak about Premier League footballers earning the money that they make, and you look at what the golfers make. All right, the top end golfers, like the top 25, 30 in the world, they're getting a lot, mega dough. But there's still a lot of money to be had with that one on the grand scheme of things. So for him to say that I was just trying to get the CEO of the PGA Tour to pump more millions of dollars into this, okay, I can't see that too much. There's no smoke without fire with this one. So he was trying to negotiate for himself. Seeing that the other people that I remember Lee Westwood was in an embargo, he couldn't speak much about it. why was he in an embargo if he wasn't thinking about doing it? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Was that a point?
Yeah. And
is that a possibility that he already had wind that maybe other sponsors might pull out from him if he'd gone into the tour?
Yeah.
And different that. But the interesting thing that's come out with this one is what Phil's saying, that he was misrepresented and misquoted in what he said. Now, his biographer, who this kind of centres around, right? Of course, he's written the book. The book's been done, this, that, and the other, right? His biographer's come out and said, "Hold on a minute. At no point in time was I told that I couldn't quote anything from the conversation we had on the phone, because he's been absolutely fine with me doing that for his biography."
Yeah.
So again, there's no smoke without fire with this one. So he's trying to make his biographer the scapegoat.
Yeah.
And that's where, for me, that's poor form. That's really, really poor form. That's just, all right, we're not going to get to all the juicy details. We're all going to come with our assumptions. We're all going to come with our own opinions on this, whether they be right or they be wrong. But that's just a simple case of it is. But he's been used a bit of a scapegoat is his biographer on this one for me. And I think that Phil's known exactly what he's been doing. And he's no longer hard about doing this. So I've got an issue now. The Greg Norman thing, right? Again, this isn't old news with Greg, right? It's not new. It's not new news with Greg, right? So Greg in the mid-90s, right, was pitching and spoiling for a fight to create a world golf tour. Now then, the first WGC event that ever happened was the World Match Play, yeah? And that was being held over in America, and it was done actually it was a much smaller field, and it was more of an exclusive field where like 4 people from each continent or from each region would compete. So they've said, so a bit of history, right? Colin Montgomery, they always said that Colin Montgomery never won a regular tour event in America, didn't they? Right, for years, and he always bottled it when it comes to the US Open when he got in Finland. But he won one of the World Golf events. He won the match play one when it was still the small truncated field. Barry Lane was, I think, the first inaugural winner of the match play. He beat Davis Love in the final over in Arizona. So I'm having a bit of a golf story. So it's not exactly new breaking stuff. And Greg was trying to get a world tour going. Now, his comments back to the PGA Tour executive, going, look, stop prisoning players, let them go and play a world tour. I kind of see his point, because I think the PGA Tour and the European Tour, they're scared. Yeah. They're petrified. The talent's going to go over there. Now, the Middle East Tour is not going to be a full season tour. It's going to be a limited tour events. You're not looking at 36 events over in the UAE.
No.
You know what I mean? It's going to be maybe 14 or something like that, or could even be 6. I actually don't know. I didn't know how many tournaments they're going to be. But the price one was huge. This all comes around because it's Saudi, and it's Saudi based, and the atrocities in Saudi Arabia. But you then look at it going, well, football's going over to Saudi. Boxing's been over there umpteen times.
Cricket.
Yeah.
Cricket's doing some stuff over there. Formula One.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So you kind of starting a fire that you don't need to start a fire to a certain point.
Yeah.
And already we've got a European Tour event in Saudi Arabia anyway.
Yeah.
And Johnson's already been over there this year. But DJ's already been over, and a couple of other PGA Tour lads have already been over this year.
That exhibition.
Ladies, gents,
Ladies Tour's just been over there, yeah. Because a mate of mine was one of the alternates, so she was hoping to have actually got in that event. Because it would be mega money for her, especially for the women's tour being over in Saudi. You know, the women's tour is massively represented in a financial sense. So to have a ladies event over in Saudi would have mega money for them almost if you win that.
Yeah.
You're not going to win and cash anywhere else like that, are you? Let's be honest. So, the Phil thing, I think he's been very silly. I don't think he's done himself any favours at all. The scapegoats he's made for it. And when KPMG pulled out, you're like, oh, and I'd said to a few people, wait till Callaway will pull out, because they will definitely pull out on him. Now, bear in mind, he signed a contract for the rest of his playing career with Callaway.
Yeah.
And he's only just signed that at the end of last season, or during last season, when he won the what's the name? When he won the PGA, weren't it? When he won the PGA, right? And then he signed with Callaway for the rest of his playing career. Now, he's not going to get that's not for pocket money. That's mega bucks. KPMG is a big sponsor in himself as well, and they've all kind of gone, yeah, all right, we're not having it. So it's a huge loss for him, and reputationally, let's have a look at how many retail stores now will be marking down the PM grind wedges. Ladies and gentlemen, wait a little bit longer to buy the PM grind wedge. It might go down in price soon, or it could be collectors.
But interestingly, though, what I heard about Callaway is they've suspended it.
Yeah.
They've not cancelled it yet.
No.
So they're sort of
on the fence
in the sense of, like, shit, do we...
The touching off.
Yeah. Or do they let him go? Because they're going to... they might not have to pay him off because it's a breach of contract, but it's more the sense of they're going to lose a lot of money in the wedges, in the selling of the equipment, because they don't have Phil Mickelson. But they could lose a lot because they have got Phil Mickelson. So
yeah, it's a reputational thing. You look at the balance of probability. He's got one golf club, which is the PM Grind Wedge. Now, on the grand scheme of things, to lose that line of golf clubs is nothing for them. It's absolutely nothing for them. Reputational risk, is for any company, especially a blue chip company, which Callaway technically are in the sports world, is of a massive loss to them.
Yeah.
And what revenue streams around the world will sales decline because of Phil Mickelson's involvement with that organisation.
This is the thing that I think, right? Because of what he said, is absolutely terrible, and no one can defend him for that. It's awful what he said and what he's been quoted to say, and then trying to use his biographer as a scapegoat. Awful. But would it actually, as a golfer, if that club was the best for you and it happened to be the PM grind, or it happened to be the driver that he was using, or the irons that he was using, would it stop you buying from Callaway because of him? Would it actually stop people?
No, because Callaway got the number one golf in the world.
Well, okay, so
no.
But we're saying reputation, right? How and I agree with them suspending it, by the way. But how does one person tarnish the reputation of a brand that is built on? Okay, you don't get a reputation for being Callaway without having clubs that perform. Like, do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
like
being associated with
but
it just looks bad.
Yeah, but does it stop? Does it drop sales? That's what I'm saying. Because they look at him, right? They get Phil Mickelson for the pure fact of, we invest 100 million in him a year. He is going to bring us X in. They want a return on their money.
Yeah.
They're basically saying, "Oh, I'm not sure we're going to get a return on that money now because of you."
Or they're saying, you're going to make us look bad, mate.
Yeah,
they might not be bothered about the money. You're making us look terrible. We can't be associated with
what my point is on that is, just because it looks terrible, if it's the club for you, does it stop you buying it?
No, people think twice.
But why though? But why if it's the best club?
Well, why are Callaway associating with someone that makes comments like that?
Yeah, but okay, that's fine. I agree. It's terrible.
That's the world. That's the way people think.
But does it stop you buying?
Yes, because people...
But why though?
Because people think, well, why do I want to buy something that's being represented by a guy that's going out saying that about gay people, for example, like he did?
Yeah, like I say, it's terrible. My point is, I'm like,
no, 100%.
I want to know why. Like,
I know what you're saying, but
like,
it's because people don't want to associate themselves with that. People don't want to associate themselves, or Callaway don't want to associate themselves with that for that reason, because people will think, they should have really got rid of him.
Yeah, but okay, so you're saying if you bought those clubs, everybody at your golf club are going to tarnish you with the same brush.
I didn't say that.
No, but it's what you're saying. You said the reputation.
No,
I don't be
reputation.
Yeah, but you're saying I don't want to be represented by that.
Callaway don't.
Yeah, but why? Why? Why does it affect them so much?
Because,
okay. Well, Alex, let's look at the flip side of it. Okay, so
I know.
All right, let's look in the football world or soccer to our American fans. Right, there's a certain player who plays for Manchester United.
Yeah,
correct. I'll call him out.
Why is Nike pulled away from him?
No, I agree.
Yes,
but what I'm saying is
the same thing.
But why does it stop people buying? But it's different because
And he's a fringe player.
Yeah, but the thing is with that is, right, you watch football as a fan, we watch golf as a fan, but in football, we don't buy products.
Kids do.
Yeah, but listen, but like every football boot is a football boot. Each brand has their thing in golf where this driver performs that, the PM grind, toe grind, whatever it is, full face wedge with all the grooves, whatever it is, right? We buy it because it's based on its performance, not the reputation of the brand comes from the performance side of things, in my opinion.
And I agree
with Callaway on the reputation loss, right? It's the investors that invest into Callaway will also possibly think of pulling away because of their association with Phil Mickelson, so which in turn could potentially drive down sales.
So would you say it's more the impact?
Different things won't go into it.
Would you say, Rob, it's more the impact internally then of sponsors or people who put the money in, investors, that has an effect rather than people buying?
Yeah, because, I completely agree. And I agree with what you're saying in that.
By the way, I don't condone what you're saying.
I'm just going to say that. Golf clubs are based on performance. This club does X, not
it's the same
John
thing with
Rahm
Thomas.
plays with X club.
It's the same thing with Thomas, isn't it?
Like, and Callaway are never ever gonna keep him, or they're gonna suspend it for however long until he's golden boy again.
Yeah.
But
TC,
it's like you said, they are based on performance, but you just can't do it. Yeah. You just can't be associated with it because investors will pull out.
It's a question that's an ever-decreasing circle. And there probably isn't a correct answer in terms of what you're asking for there, Alex. And I think the question that you asked was absolutely spot on for the probing question. It's like one major multi-trillion-dollar corporation, right, for investments and getting people out of the crap and administrations and all. So in the grand scheme of things, Phil Mickelson is basically an amoeba in the grand scheme of their gene. But because he walks around with their logo on his cap and he's globally recognized, they feel that he's too much of a risk to invest in. Callaway, he walks around, he's one of Callaway's biggest players. And, you know, at the end of the day, and he walks around with a lifetime contract, the only Callaway player to have a lifetime contract. And I think by the end of his season, if he'd have carried on being well, he'd have been the longest club sponsor that they've had, or club staff player that they've ever had, apart from Chichi Rodriguez, probably. Just pulling that old firecracker out of the works. He will be the longest standing member of their group. So there's a lot of investment that they've put into Phil. And more to the point, Phil would have been paid handsomely for having the product. We can flip it on the other side of the coin and go into the issues with Tiger. You know, when all that started to go Pete Tong with Tiger, he was with Nike and with the golf clubs and so on. So Nike pulled away from the clubs and it all went Pete Tong for Nike anyway, and they pulled out. But look at the sponsor that Tiger lost. Buick, massive vehicle manufacturer in the world. They didn't want to know him anymore. And there was several other sponsors, which I can't remember off the top of my head, who pulled away from him.
EA Sports,
You know, he's with Hyundai, I think, as well. I think Hyundai was one of his sponsors as well for the vehicles at one back in the day. But I think that partnership ended because he was with Buick. So he had some big name things. Now, is that because they thought they was going to lose sales because Tiger was involved with them because of the stuff that Tiger had done? That's again, it's a reputational risk. You know, I've worked in industry and the sector where, you know, reputation is everything. And being an advisor and a manager for the company I was working for at the time is that I'm on a call to a customer. I am that company. I'm not the person. I am the company. I'm the spokesperson for that company. The organization I work for now, you know, I can't speak to the press unless I have press training. And anything I say that might go on social media about the organization or anything to do with my job role, I then become a spokesperson for that organisation.
Yeah.
So when Phil Mickelson is on the TV and he stood there with Callaway stuff, and he just won a golf tournament, like he just did it at Kier Island, he's becoming a spokesperson indirectly for Callaway Golf.
Yeah.
So straight away then, that is a reputational risk, and because of that, would people not buy stuff from him? You might well have. I was going to say something very, very derogatory in a completely Lancastrian thing about tofu eating people wearing sandals, but you'd have that kind of army that would be like, oh no, we're not doing that because he wants to be involved with a country that does this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
Chance are though, those people will still watch the World Cup this year.
Oh, of course they will.
So go figure. You know, it's that into balance. It's such a fight that's going to that this little war is going to rage on for a little spell. But I think Brooks, I love Brooks. The fifth man is awesome, right? And Brooks' interview the other day when he turned around and went, "It's not the end of it. Somebody will crack. Somebody will take the money. Somebody will run to the houses." And it will happen.
Yeah.
And somebody will jump rank without a shadow of doubt. Somebody will go, you know what? A chance to win those majors. Okay, well, I've got a 1 in 178 chance of winning that golf tournament, and there's 4 of them a year.
Yeah.
So the opportunity to try and win that is no different than me trying to win an event any other place. It's just either got longer rough, or it's got more wind, or it's going to be bloody cold, or it's going to be chucking down rain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the way to look at it. Whereas they can go and play over in the UAE in perfect conditions with fairways like resort courses where the rough's not that bad. You can spray it a bit longer to go in the sand and go in the desert area where you lie will be almost perfect. You get a shed load of spin. The greens are absolutely perfect. And just for craps and giggles, we're going to pay you $2.5 million tax-free US dollars. Where are you going to go? I think with what's all coming out with all this new touring stuff is that you're going to find probably that they're not going to track they might track 1 or 2 big names to boost it up, right? But I think the lower league, but the lower players would want a bite of that cherry because the pressure would be off them.
Money in it. Money.
Pressure would be massively off them.
Money talks, isn't it?
Exactly.
Right, let's leave that there. Big talking point. But let's quickly touch on this before we go into tip of the week.
Yeah.
Quick little finish. Zach Johnson, 2023 Ryder Cup captain. Shocked they didn't stick with Steve Stricker after the win, but what do you think?
I think it's a great appointment. I think a great loyal servant to the PGA Tour, great loyal servant to golf, and just an all-round, I think, seems like a nice guy, really.
Is
that what the USA need?
Well, it's going to play into Europe's hands.
Do you think he's a weak link?
It's just a bit of a wishy-washy.
I like it. I think he'll surprise you. I honestly do.
He's tenacious.
Yeah.
You don't win multiple majors without being.
He's that pocket. He's a pocket Rottweiler. Let's be honest. He's not quite a Corey Pavin, but he's a little pocket Rottweiler, isn't he? But as you said, he's Mr. Nice. You know, how much is that? How much is he going to rally the troops? When you see him when you've seen him in the Ryder Cups in the past, he's not been one that's been a really get up and go and row the fans up. All right, he does cheer, he does give it a bit of oomph and stuff like that, but he's nowhere near like what a lot of them are. But now there was Stricker, to be fair. So it's going to be, what is his game plan? How is that going to be? He's won 2 majors on 2 of the toughest tracks in the world.
Yeah.
St Andrews and Augusta. 2 of the toughest tracks in the world. But that means nothing in a Ryder Cup because he's a captain. He's not picking up a golf club. He's not going to be out there. He's going to be out there trying to rally the troops. This will be won, or his captaincy will be defined by the back room of the vice captains that he chooses.
Yeah.
Because he'll get some. So you'll find of old Ryder Cup, you won't probably. Tom Lane will be in there. He might ask Stricker to come back to help him out. Look at who his friends are on tour, and the ones that probably aren't going to make the team, and they'll end up being his backroom staff because it's always the case with any of the teams, anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's going to be key one. He's going to get backroom staff to get round her to gym up, because I can't see Zach Johnson. All right, he'll have to stand on a box to speak to most of the players because he's only a wee lad. But he's not bang a table kind of guy, is he? You wouldn't put him in negotiations for a pay rise.
You never know. You never know. You know who I'd love to see as captain one day? Patrick Reed. Absolute spoiler.
There's no chance.
But let's throw a spanner in the works, right? For craps and giggles. Would you not rather see Fred Couples become a Ryder Cup captain?
I would say
he is the best. So you've always been the best player ever to win a major, yeah?
Yeah.
He's the best player to never be a Ryder Cup captain for the US.
Maybe he didn't want to be.
Well, he was President Cup captain twice and won twice. Impressive. So his pedigree is, but did they ask him? Because for me, if Freddie had got that right, I reckon he would have won one of those Ryder Cups when Europe's had their dominance.
Yeah,
maybe.
Interesting. Very, very interesting.
I think it'd be one of the ones that would have won on European soil to have done it as well, because you put him in there to stir the pot up. He'd be the key one to have got the role after Azinger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Interesting.
Azinger, Couples, and then Love.
Yeah.
Three of the best people that have ever been paired up with each other in Ryder Cups ever in history. Now that would have been formidable. And then Pavin after that one. So it changed the order around. But just want to throw that one in there because it's always bothered me that Couples has never got the Ryder Cup.
I forgot. I just I don't know. I just maybe just assumed that he would have had been, but I'm not a very good golf historian.
No. It's a good job we got someone with a bit of knowledge on today.
Yeah. I've got a proper podcast today.
He's been vice captain. He has been vice captain.
Yeah.
But he's just never been the head of the state, which I'm stunned at. I'm stunned at either one. If he's been asked, he's turned it down. I'm surprised at that one, and I'm surprised that, or if he's never actually been offered it, really surprised at that. So, but I think we're at chest at the moment. We've not declared who he's going to be yet, have we?
No. Yeah.
It's in Italy this time, isn't it? So, will Costantino Rock get a vice captaincy role?
Well, get a bit of the Italian fans going.
Right.
Okay, so Josh,
last bit, tip of the week.
Sorry.
We're into tip of the week.
Yes.
So basically, Rob, you'll like this one. Playing on yesterday, Josh, a little bit of a swayer of the golf ball, likes to get stuck. Very stuck, in fact.
Very stuck.
Hook, big blocks out to the right, known for. So literally, I just said to him, turn to where the sun is on your back and just make some practice swings watching your shadow.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw your reel on that one. It's brilliant.
And
Honestly,
that is all. And you played well from there.
Yeah.
I'm going to take full credit for you beating me.
Okay. The easiest tip and the easiest thing you could ever do if you're struggling when you're out on the golf course and the sun is out, use your shadow. It's like a mirror.
Yeah, definitely. Because you'll soon find your fault zone. So I know for me, if I'm swinging it really, really poor and I'm casting it badly, if I do that and I see the sun at the back and then I get to the top of that backswing, that's why I asked you that question today. Is for me, I'll swing and I'll get to here, but you say it's so hard to do that for me. So I'll get to there, but then I know my casting isn't like the typical flippy one. It's I'll get to here and then I go up with my arms and then out.
Yeah.
Because I've turned as far as I can go. The only place my arms can go then is upwards. So it becomes then an overswing to then correct itself and go that way. So what you did on your reel yesterday was spot on. I loved it because it was such a simple one. I know I can do that. Have my shadow facing that way, and I can see then how bad that might be going wrong.
Yeah.
And then you can self-correct it. It's a good way of trying to do that on a course. It's brilliant. You took yourself out of a job here, Alex. You know that.
That's my aim. Right. So, guys, thanks so much for listening.
Yeah.
Rob, thanks so much for coming on the podcast. We appreciate it.
Mate, I really, really appreciate the opportunity of coming along. It's been an absolute pleasure and a blast. And let's tell you what. All right, Alex. I know you do your what's them. I know you do your tips on your YouTube channel and stuff like that. Let's do a course vlog.
Yeah, of course.
Let's go out. Let's go and have a right good giggle course vlog. 3-5 hole challenge, something like that. Let's go and do it, and let's have some craps and giggle.
I need shots.
You need shots.
I'm joking.
I
But no, guys, thanks for listening. Remember, we're back every single Wednesday here on the pod. Just me and Josh next week. So, sorry, you won't have as much golfing knowledge or golfing experience or history.
Or waffling.
And thanks so much to Rob. Make sure you go and give him a follow on Instagram and on YouTube. I look forward to catching up with you guys next week.
See you guys.